Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Dr. Bob Milligan, and today we're going to talk about a concept that is growing in popularity in the business world called a stay meeting. The idea of the stay meeting is really to replace the annual performance review, which has never been very popular. And so the purpose of a stay meeting is to develop plans, including professional development, to ensure the employee's performance and job satisfaction. It looks forward, not backward. And that's really the key, because reviewing current performance should not happen just once a year. It should happen continuously. Now we want to have a meeting that we look forward. It's also collaborative with a lot of open discussion, a lot of authenticity and openness between the two participants. In order to really understand what needs to happen in this meeting, we need to think a little more about the brain. This is a very simplified view of the brain. We in agriculture are very focused on the neocortex. Okay, we're focused on efficiency. The neocortex is the higher order thinking. But the limbic brain is critically important. That's where all of our emotions are. Our language is in the neocortex, comes from the neocortex, but our emotions are in the limbic brain. And these two things play back and forth. In fact, the research has really proven that there is no such thing as a totally rational decision, that all decisions are impacted by the limbic brain, by the emotions. In order to really understand the value of the stay meeting, we need to talk about the three psychological needs that many of you may have heard me talk about or write about previously. I really think this is the key to optimal motivation. That we are optimally motivated when we have these three psychological needs met. Now, in order to illustrate that, I'm going to put you in three separate situations. And I want you to think about how you would feel in those situations. Okay, and in the first one, you've been sent by your significant other to the grocery store with a list. Okay, and on the way to the grocery store, you realize you left your cell phone at home. I know that's not likely, but play along with me. Okay, so you get to the grocery store, you're confident you have the list, there's no problem. Until you get to that first item on the list and you walk down the aisle to where it is in the grocery store, and there are 4 sizes, 6 varieties, etc. And now you just really don't know. How do you feel? Okay, I think the answer usually is frustrated, upset, whatever the case may be. Well, in that situation, you are lacking in the psychological need of choice. Choice is the perception we are in control of our actions. You are no longer in control of your actions. It's a perception of having choices. Now, in this case, you actually have too many, okay? But we need to have choices. It's options within boundaries. Now, the second situation is you're part of a group. Doesn't really matter what the group is, social group, volunteer. And over the last few days, you felt like you're that red stick man out there, stick person out there. You just are isolated from the group. How do you feel? Again, it could be lonely, frustrated, any other number of disappointed. In this case, you are lacking in the psychological need of connection. And connection is a sense of belonging and a genuine connection to others. And that genuine means an interpersonal connection. In the employee world, it's being valued not just for what you can do on the farm or the other business, but who you are. It's also contributing to something greater than ourselves. And we've talked about that a lot in the past, the vision thing. Okay. So the third situation, this is the one that the stay meeting is actually focused on the most, is think about this for a second, something you're not good at. For me, it's anything mechanical. Okay. Now think about how do you feel when for some reason, no one's around, whatever it is, you have to do that. I have to fix the toilet, whatever the case may be. How do you feel? Again, it could be frustrated, incompetent, whatever the case may be. In this case, you're lacking in the psychological need, or the psychological need for competence has been diminished. Competence is to feel successful at meeting daily situations and challenges. Again, in the employee world, it means not only just how to do something, but we actually can do it with confidence. We have mastered it. Skill plus self-confidence gives us competence. Just knowing how to do it isn't enough. We have to be able to be confident we can do it. And it's also feelings of personal growth and progress toward career goals, whatever the case may be. Now, we want to go back to that middle one, okay? The fact that just having the skill isn't enough, okay? Competence is the skill plus the self-confidence. I am good at this. I am an expert, okay? Whatever the case may be. Probably the best way to think about that, okay, is encouragement and positive feedback help that. But the best way to think about it is the field goal kicker lining up to kick the game-winning field goal. What's the other team do? They normally call timeout to ice the field goal kicker. Now think about that. Okay, we're going to go. Does the field goal kicker lose any skill in that 1 minute or 2 minute timeout? No. Hopefully what the other team is trying to do is to get them to stop and think. Okay, to lose some of that self-confidence. And so an important part of building competence is after the skill is learned, or as it's being learned, encouragement. I know you can do this. I have confidence in you. I know this will turn out well. You can do it. Okay. So competence, skill plus the self-confidence gives us competence. Now, one thing we need to think about, and one of the challenges of this, in the stay meeting, you're likely going to be talking about the employee accepting and being excited about additional responsibilities. In the definition of competence, in seeking competence, we all want to grow. The problem is that there is a countervailing force, basically, to wanting to accept additional responsibility. And I like to portray that as a teeter-totter, okay? There's interest, even excitement, because we want competence. We want to grow as it contributes to feelings of choice and to competence. The countervailing force of that is reluctance due to fear of failure. And that's real. It's important. So what do we do to minimize that fear of failure so that the teeter-totter of being excited about additional responsibility will succeed? Okay, one is compassion, clarity, encouragement. A second one, okay, is just small increments. Don't give people responsibility in big bites. Keep it manageable and help them by planning with them and check-in points and those kinds of things. So let's come back to the stay meeting in concluding here. And there's several things that should be focused on in that stay meeting. Okay. One is identify and build on strengths. Don't focus on weaknesses. What we should do with weaknesses, identify and plan around them, plan ways to overcome them. The Gallup people talk about 80% of the time on strengths and 20% building bridges or barriers to overcome the weaknesses. Identify new and increased responsibilities. Plan training and professional development. This can both be learning tasks. It also can be personal development, better communication, better supervisor, whatever the case may be. And it's important, I think, to end this meeting with an implementation plan. I encourage, when you are going to have a stay meeting, to have two pre-work questions, two questions that you're going to ask them, employees, to think about and come in with answers. Okay, and the two questions are: make a list of your greatest successes last year, in this case in 2020. The beauty of this is it gives you information to identify strengths and build on those. And then get them to start to think about changes, improvements that the employee would like in his job responsibilities over the next several years or the next year. So a stay meeting, not a review, but a stay meeting to look forward with the goal that the employee is more productive, greater job satisfaction, and ultimately greater job retention.